Hi, welcome back to Ask a Monk. Today's question comes from a good friend of mine, Jerry Ibsen, and he asks, what is the nature of heaven in Buddhism, or what is the meaning of the word heaven, and what meaning does it have for Buddhists? First of all, the idea of heaven as a place can be somewhat misleading. It's important that we understand what do we mean by place or by space. Space in Buddhism is an extension of one's experience. So all of my experience takes up a certain amount of space. My being, my universe has a certain space, and everyone around me also takes up a piece of space. And so our interactions create the world around us. We create the idea of three-dimensional space based on our experience. So in that sense, heaven is simply another level of experience that is made up of the experiences of the beings in that realm. And the difference being simply that the experience of reality of those beings is much more subtle and more refined and more pure than the experience at this level. So, the reason we meet with each other here is because our experience is coarse, and so we meet on the same level. For those beings who have more pure and refined minds, they rise above and they meet at another level. That's in terms of space. So, you can think of hell as being below and heaven as being above, as is generally the case. But more important to understand in terms of what we mean by heaven and hell and the various realms of existence is simply that in terms of purity of mind, that for every individual we're on a path. We purify our minds or we sully our minds, and the more defiled our minds become, the lower we sink, and the more coarse our reality becomes. As we complicate our minds and make our minds more coarse and more twisted, or however you want to look at it, we become equally more dense and more physical and more subject to suffering. You could say it's similar to a person who does bad deeds and is as a result placed in jail and has to spend some time in jail. As a human being, our past deeds have led us to this level of coarseness. If we had been more coarse in our past lives, we would have sunken lower to become animals, or even to go to a place very similar to hell if it was extreme, if we were murderers or thieves or very immoral people. What it does to your mind, the very real effect that it has on your mind, causes you to sink lower. By the same token, when you purify your mind, as you do good deeds and try to help other people, and your mind becomes purer, you feel lighter, you feel more free in the mind and less attached to things. You rise up higher. Now, the reason why it doesn't happen where a human being does good deeds and they start floating off the ground is because of the weight of the karma. And in this sense, it's similar to being thrown in jail, because people in jail, they can reform themselves, but it doesn't mean they suddenly break out of the jail. They have to live out the term according to their sentence. And the same is true for human beings. We have a very weighty circle of karma that we've performed in the past that is having these intense results, that has placed us in this physical existence that is manifesting itself as our human existence. And until that has run its course, it's not very likely that we're going to just rise up to heaven or so on. That being said, this is a good way to explain why good people have a very great difficulty surviving in the world. People say, you have to fight dirty. It's a dog-eat-dog world. If you're not, trying to cheat everybody else, you won't get ahead, and so on. And that may be true, but that's really just a sign that this is not a very pure state of existence, and those people with pure states of existence are rising above it. And a person who does good things is eventually ejected into a higher realm, which is really the case with much more simple and pure realms. If you're born in a level of purity, and you die or you leave from that state, it's merely a shift down or a shift up. It's not a death. It's not. It doesn't have to be a set length of time. You can leave at any time. You can go up and down. And beings in heaven are said to do this. They're said to go from one level to another quite smoothly, based on their deeds, based on their state of mind, and based on the fulfillment of certain karmas. When they've outlived their the acts which brought them to this state of purity, they can sink down, and if they do more good deeds, eventually they'll be able to rise up when the old karma has ceased. It's really based on cause and effect. It's not something magical where there's someone judging you. Okay, now it's your time to go up to heaven. Now it's your time to go down to hell. It's based on whether you do good deeds or do bad deeds, and when the good and bad deeds you've done before the effect of them is expired. And so in this sense, it's really here and now. Heaven is just the change of this to something more pure. Hell is the change of this to something more impure, more coarse. And so when our karma, the result of our karma that has led us to be born as a human being and has created this reality is up, when it gets to its end, then our mind is free and goes according to the next karma. It grasps onto something either pure or impure. It's able to rise out, just as a person who is let out of jail is free to go on and to become a better person, or go back and do bad deeds and have to come back and spend more time in jail. So I hope that helps make sense. Heaven can be thought of as a place, but only in the sense of it being a conglomeration of equally pure or impure minds or beings. But it should be better thought of as a state of mind, where the mind is pure and is freed from the impurity of the human, or the effects of our impurity that has led us to be born and have to spend time as a human being. Finally, that being said, it's important to understand that heaven isn't the be-all, end-all. What you can say is that people who practice, say, meditation or practice on the right path do generally go to heaven a lot easier because their minds are purer. But it's also possible to go to heaven on a temporary purity. If you work really hard on a mundane level and develop very pure states of mind, you can do it by suppressing the bad states. You can practice certain types of meditation that give you very pure states of mind and help you to rise above the impure state part of your mind temporarily, like with transcendental meditation and so on, and can actually be born in heaven even for long periods of time. But once that wears thin, and the results of all of that work wears out, and obviously you wouldn't be doing that work in heaven. You'd just be enjoying your time in this blissful state of being. The bad stuff comes back. The bad stuff is there, and when the results lose when the good things you did lose their power and the results are worn out, you'll come crashing back down. So heaven is not the goal. It's a sign that the mind is pure, but it's important to understand that the important thing is to purify the mind, and sometimes that's easier done in a place like the human world, because we're able to see the ups and the downs of life. A person who's born in heaven due to some temporary deed or some mundane goodness that they've performed and that has elevated their minds to that level can often become intoxicated by it, and they forget to develop themselves further. If a person is born again and again as a human being, or even just is in one life a human being, during this life we're much better able to see, when I do bad deeds, bad things come to me. When I do good deeds, good things come to me. If you're born in heaven, you can do bad deeds, and because of the power of your past good deeds, you don't have to pay for them right away. So it can be dangerous in that sense. On the other hand, one of the good things about a place like heaven is you can sit in meditation quite easily and without all the pain and suffering. They say if you're really dedicated to meditation, being born in heaven can be a real great blessing. Another thing is because there are obviously many meditators who have gone up to heaven, and so it's very easy to find a group of people to meditate with, and very easy to sit in meditation because your body doesn't complain as much. You have a very pure state of being, and you can sit for months on end and contemplate the reality in front of you. So there's really no saying good or bad. It's good in a mundane sense, but it's basically just another state of purity. And until you can really understand reality for what it is, it can it's really a meaningless judgment as to where you are on the scale, until it becomes a pure permanent thing where your mind is truly pure and you have no more clinging. You're not just suppressing your bad thoughts, but you're actually understanding them and you're actually letting go of them, and you're actually giving them up, and they no longer arise again. At that point, then not only are you born, say, in heaven, but eventually you're free from all of this arising of experience. You come back to the center and leave behind all of the outside world. So that doesn't sound too fruity. It's not one of the things I normally talk about, but you asked, and that's my understanding of heaven in terms of Buddhism. Most important thing being, it's just a state of reality, and it's if you enter into that state of reality, you should meditate on it, and you should try to understand it and see it clearly. It's a sign that your mind is pure in some way or another, and a sign that you're on the right path. But it only serves you best to continue to develop greater and greater states of purity, not to become content with being born in heaven or so on. Okay, so thanks for the question. Keep them coming.